Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. It's Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today I just wanted to summarize. There's been a couple of post-season interviews from Celebrity Big Brother 3 evicted guest Shanna Mokler. Recently, a few hours back, the Entertainment Weekly article was released, as well as the Parade article is released. And I wanted to just kind of highlight some of the questions that Shanna was asked, because as you know, they go through like a whole thing where they give like the whole spiel, and then they get into the questions with the person that they're interviewing. And so I want to start off with the Entertainment Weekly article first, and then I will go into the Parade article. Both articles will be linked in my description box, and then I will react to the things that Shanna says. So the first question in Entertainment Weekly was, so how does this happen? Why would Cynthia and Carson believe everything told to them by a person on their way out the door who will say anything to stay in the house and her biggest ally? Why take their word over yours? And Shanna says, you know, it's a mystery to me too. I honestly don't know. And at one point they were so mad at me, I couldn't understand. I was like, what could they possibly said to make you this angry? I literally felt like I had shot someone's dog or something. It was just bizarre. And you know, the more I tried to talk to them, they just wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen so much that I had to actually thought that they had a 4-person alliance that I wasn't aware of, because it was just so bizarre. At the end of the day, when it came down to it, it's just like, I don't care if I was with an alliance with, you know, Santa Claus 2 weeks ago. When it came down to it, I pulled you off the block, I saved both of your games, and my partner in crime went home. So it was like, what's happening? And then they just wouldn't talk to me. If I tried, they would say they didn't want to talk game for the day. They just wanted to have a nice, fun day. And then it just got really awkward. Like, I was in 8th grade being bullied, so it just got so strange. So I was like, okay, well, I know I'm going to go home. I don't really honestly think that they would backdoor me. I was absolutely in shock when they did that. And then the next question, what was it like trying to explain that you were on their side after Misha and Todrick went to work on them? I have to imagine that was insanely frustrating. Shanna says, it really blew my mind. It was like you're listening to the two people who have done nothing but day one from trying to get you out of this house. So of course they're going to lie to you. Of course they're going to try to spin things. And if I had flipped the house, I had changed the game. I gave you a fighting shot, but you were just choosing to believe them. And I knew they were going to do that. I even said to Cynthia the night before, when we were in a really good place, I was like, I really feel like they're going to come to you and try to ruin our alliance and our trust. And I was like, if that happens, if they come to you, if they say anything to you, please just come and talk to me first. At least give me that. And they didn't. They yelled at me in front of the whole house. And I was like, I'm not fighting in the kitchen. I'm not going to get into a screaming match. I'm just going to walk away, because I wasn't going to do a he said, she said. And at the same time, I didn't want to give Todrick and Misha the satisfaction of seeing them destroy our trust. That made me sad. Have you gone back and watched any of the footage yet? No, Shanna says, no, I haven't yet. I am going to probably in the next couple of days. To be honest, it was just so crazy to be outside and see the sky and just do the little things that we take for granted, like shower in my own shower and sleep in my own bed and be around my animals. So I've just been home sort of soaking up the world again and decompressing. Why did you take that big shot on the way out of the door? Don't worry, Todrick, I'll get the jury to vote against you. Shanna says, as I started to walk out the door, he started dancing and clapping in the background, and I just thought, dude, come on, you won, you don't need to like rub it in my face, you know? So that's why I was just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm out on the outside, I'll be talking to the jurors, but I don't even know if I have that power. The feedback I'm getting is positive in my corner, not so much with the team of mean over there, or the Misha Mafia, as I like to call it, so we'll see what happens. You're a gamer. Do you think anything Todrick or Maisha crossed any lines in the house with anything they said or did? Shanna says, yeah, I definitely think going and blaming me for their schemes and backstabbing and lying was, I guess, well played. They were able to convince them that I was the mastermind behind it all, which is hysterical to me. It's because I was never HOH. I never had head of household. Misha always did. It was actually really hard because Misha actually had like a 10-day HOH reign. So she was able to be the head of household for a longer than normal period of time in the very, very, very beginning as we settled in. And that kind of set the tone for the house and made it almost impossible to break that power that she created in the very beginning. You and Chris Kirkpatrick are super fans. So is Todrick, yet you two are out of the house. Did he do a better job of influencing and controlling people? that have no idea what they are doing in the game? 100% yeah, this is what Shanna says. One thing about Todrick I'll give to him, he's very, very convincing. And the thing is, he knew that I didn't buy his stories and that he would always come to me and say like, I know you don't trust me and I want you to trust me. And for me, it was just like, I definitely don't trust you. I just knew that there was something about him that I knew was not on the up and up and not to believe him at all. I couldn't trust him as far as I could throw him, and he knew it. And so in the beginning, he wanted to work with me, but he knew I was on to him. And so I was definitely next in line for him, and I was beating him and all of like the challenges mostly, so that really was irritating him. Let's talk about Chris's plan to have you win the veto and take Carson off the block and then just kind of hope Misha put Todd up instead of him. Misha told Todd he would go up and told you that you could use the veto on Cynthia. So what I don't understand is why use the veto on Carson, which all of a sudden raises red flags all over the place for Misha, and not just to use it on Cynthia, in which case Misha probably doesn't think a lot of it and does put up Todd, and then everybody is safe because you have the votes to send Todd out with you, Chris and Cynthia. I guess at that point in time, this is what Shanna replies. It was more important to save Carson because he was a stronger player. Cynthia's like, love her to death and all, but she doesn't understand what is happening in the game. She's so confused and lost, and she's really awful in competitions. So saving her was not really an option for us because they would have just voted Carson, and they did have the numbers to do it. Lamar really was with them, so I couldn't count on his vote. You got Lamar and Todd, who don't really know the game. You have Carson and Cynthia, who just got completely played. And you've got Misha and Todrick, whom just blew you out of the house. So whom do you root for to win this game at this point? I actually would just really love to see Todd Bridges win. This is what Shanna says. He's just a really nice guy. He actually is playing the game. His game is to say that he's not playing the game and pretend he doesn't know what he's doing, but he actually does know what he's doing, and he's actually in the game, and I think I would really benefit from this in life. And I'm definitely not rooting for the other squad, so definitely Todd Bridges. Do you think that you'll hang out with any of these folks outside of the house? Shanna says, I think I made really good friends in Teddy and Chris Kirkpatrick. I thought Chris Kattan was absolutely hysterical. What a lovely man. And Todd was really, really cool. So I would love to have dinner one night with my big brother crew. Finally, are you upset that you never got to experience OTEV or the Zingbot? Oh my god, this is what Shanna replies. I was so bummed about the Zimbach. There were so many games and challenges that I was like, oh, I hope we get to do this. Oh, I hope we get to do that. And of course, I would love to have experienced winning an HOH. That would have been the ultimate Big Brother experience. But I did win 2 vetoes, and that was very cool for me. So with that being said, being a super fan and just being able to walk in there and experience that because you watch it and you're like, oh, what would I do? So being able to do that and just seeing if I could do it, it was very challenging being monitored 24/7 and not having a phone, radio, or TV pencil, and you're like, oh, I'm totally good. But it's a pretty intense experience. I'm really happy that I got to try it. So a couple things to take out of that Entertainment Weekly. I think if any of the answers I didn't feel really was explained was not using the veto on Cynthia instead of Carson. I don't know why Shanna doesn't think she had the votes. If she pulled Cynthia off with her veto and then Todd went up, they had the votes to get Todd Bridges out because Chris, Shanna, and Cynthia would vote to keep Carson. And then Todrick and Lamar obviously would vote to keep Todd. Misha can't vote because she's HOH. I don't understand that would have saved all 4 of you guys. All Chris really had to do is basically make it seem as though Carson's your target. We're getting him out. He didn't have a poker face to lie to Misha and pretend that Carson was still going to be the target and go along with the plan of putting, Todd up instead of, if Cynthia came down as a show of good faith. Then Cynthia, Carson, Chris, and Shanna are all safe heading into the next HOH, which then opens the door because Misha's then down a number. And everything's gravy. Everything's kosher because Misha can't play in the HOH. She no longer has Todd. So she only at that point is down to Todrick and Lamar in hopes that they can win, the HOH, which was the wall comp, which ended up being, almost Todrick winning. But if they also had Chris Kirkpatrick there as well, he could have had a good shot as well because he's small. He's smaller. And those types of competitions really benefit people who have a smaller physique, and because you're able to, stay on there for a really long time and have that endurance. But so yeah, that was the only one that I'm still kind of like, you guys missed the mark there. And still, I think even pulling off, I think if they would have pulled off Mariah when Shanna won that live veto, I think they would have had the votes to get, Todrick out at least Todrick, if not Misha, but definitely Todrick. Because you could have made a deal with Mariah, like, hey, if we pull you off the block and give you another chance, will you vote out whoever our replacement nominee is? Because we knew she wasn't going to vote out Chris Kattan. That was her friend in the house. So I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. I just think something's up there. Because if, I don't know. But I think the issue is Shanna knew that Cynthia was going to vote to keep Todrick if they put Todrick up. So that would have been the only thing. And I don't know if Todd would have voted out Todrick. But Lamar might have. So we could have had a situation where it could have been Shanna's vote, Mariah's vote, and maybe Lamar's vote. And then Todd and Todrick and Cynthia. So it would have potentially been a tie. And but even if it went that way, who has the tiebreaker? Wasn't it Chris's HOH? So again, I don't know. I feel like there was a couple of missed opportunities there. So let's get into the second article, the parade article. So the first question is for Shanna. I want to start by checking in with you. You're a big fan of the game, so you must have loved playing, but obviously your past few days in the house were a lot. How do you look back on this experience as a whole? The experience was amazing, being a super fan and being in the Big Brother house. This is Shanna's response. And playing the games was just an incredible experience. I never thought I'd get the opportunity. It was very, very cool. And the way that I went out, I guess I'm just like, what just happened? And laughs. Everything just spiraled out of control so quickly. At one point, I honestly thought that they had a 4-person alliance, and I just wasn't aware of something because it obviously made no sense. But that was one of the frustrations for me playing the game. I was just playing with people that really didn't understand the game and didn't know what was going on. So it made it very, very, very difficult to navigate through the house because there were some people that just didn't understand what they were doing. Well, I have you know that you're still on the minds of the remaining house guests. I'm not sure if you're aware yet, but there have been a lot of comments made about the wardrobe you wore inside of the house, with Todrick even questioning whether you'd be a good role model. Did you know those types of things were being said about you? Shanna says, I still don't know what they were saying. If they were saying anything bad about me in the house, that's obviously sad to hear. However, I wasn't there to be a role model for anybody. I was there to play Big Brother and play my own game. I treated everyone in the house with the utmost respect. I was nothing but kind to everybody. I picked up after myself. I cooked and cleaned for the house. I did everything in my power to be cordial and kind to everybody. And that's one thing I look back on, I'm very proud of. I never took personal attacks on anybody, and I definitely could because there were a lot of people who were doing that, and that's one of the reasons I made a lot of my choices in the game moving forward with Cynthia and Carson. The personal attacks and things that were being said about other people in the house that I thought were unfair. Let's go back to the beginning of the game. You hit the ground running from the first week as you and Chris Kirkpatrick successfully played both sides of the house. At what point did you determine that you wanted to play that way? In the beginning, Misha had a very long HOH, which helped her garner the quote Misha Mafia and keep that power in the house for so long. So it was really hard to penetrate that bubble. And since Cynthia and Carson had safety, I had to get in the trenches, win competitions, and protect myself. If I didn't really trust anybody at first, you really have that paranoia in the house. So I was trying to figure out who the people were aligning with. People were shifting. Todrick was a part of our alliance, and then he left. And then he blamed Cynthia for that. So then he went with Misha. I was just trying to figure everything out and afloat. And then when I finally did, I knew who I wanted to work with. And when I had my opportunity to strike, I did. But I never in a million years thought the people that I helped were going to come vote me out. Laughs. It's just so mind-blowing. I couldn't wrap my brain around it. Looking back on your veto wins, what do you regret more? Not using the veto on Chris Kirkpatrick's HOH to backdoor Todrick, or using the veto on Carson last week? Even if I tried to backdoor Todrick, I wouldn't have had the votes. I mean, Misha had all of the votes, and so did Todrick. So that would have been very, very, very hard, even at that time. Cynthia told me 2 times in the very, very beginning that she was voting for Todrick to win. So that made it hard for me to want to work with her. I'm like, well, who do I want to work with you? You've already given this guy your vote, so why would I want to work with you? So looking back now, I would have not taken Carson down, sent him packing, and went on my merry way. I would have just tried to go head-to-head with Todrick and Misha at a later date. That way, I still would have had my partner with Chris Kirkpatrick in the house, and I wouldn't have been left alone out in the middle of the ocean. Replaying the end of your time in the house, do you think there was a particular thing you could have said or conversation you could have had that wouldn't have resulted in your eviction? Shanna says, I would like to think that. So I knew that Misha and Todrick were going to go to Cynthia. I told Cynthia the night before, if anyone comes to you, they're going to try to break us up. This is why I didn't respect them as just players, but I didn't respect them as people either. I knew that they were going to do this. So I was like, just please come to me and talk to me. But then Cynthia was like, well, let's go to Todrick and you can confront them. And for me, it wasn't about not confronting them. They're lying. I'm just not going to stand there and have a he said, she said with them. And I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing Carson and Cynthia and I fight and have this discord in our alliance. We need to be strong and stand up to them. And I didn't want them to win by seeing us argue over lies that they created. On your way out of the house, you made a comment directed towards Todrick about how you would turn the jury against him. Considering you've been discussing him and Misha together so far, why name him specifically? Shanna says, he started clapping and dancing while I was walking out the door, so that's why I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll make sure all the jury doesn't vote for you. I mean, it's okay that you won, you got your way, you lied and schemed, good for you. Don't hate the player, hate the game. But at the same time, he didn't have to be like that. And that's who Todrick is. That's why I took my shot when I could. At least I got to get my one shot in when I did, and I'm proud of that. Yeah, facts. I love that Shanna called him out then. So I know you haven't been online that much since leaving the house, but I did want to let you know how much support you receive from basically all of the corners of the Big Brother fandom. I know the past few days weren't easy for you, but many people supported your gameplay and have even more support for you after everything that's happened. Shanna says, that's pretty awesome to hear. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. It really has been a cool opportunity to get to even play and be in there. And I'm just really thankful for the whole experience. To finish things off, let's get your rapid fire thoughts on the remaining house guests, starting with Carson. So Shanna says about Carson that he's completely all over the place, doesn't understand what's happening. However, he's good at competition, so he's able to save his game. Either he's playing like he doesn't know what's happening, or he really doesn't know what's happening, and he's getting very lucky. Cynthia. So Shanna says, Cynthia is the most frustrating because she doesn't know what's going on. And she's just riding the coattails of Carson. It was really difficult to play with her, and she's not very good at competitions. So it was hard having a teammate that you were basically dragging along. Lamar. Shanna says Lamar is very similar. He's kind of just floating. He is a number for them, but he's not great at competitions. I don't think he really knows what's going on in the game either. Misha. I mean, kudos to her. She definitely is a beast in competitions. She's super strong. She's calculating, and it's very, very, very difficult to go up against her. Todd. Shanna says he's a good guy. The funny thing about Todd is that he acts like he doesn't care and he doesn't want to be there, but he does. And he pretends he doesn't know the game, or he pretends that he's sleeping, but he's not. He's absolutely gaming. He absolutely knows what he's doing. He wants to be there, and he's winning over the hearts of a lot of the people in the house. That's why they're saving him, and that's why they're doing all these things for him. So I feel like he's playing an honest, good game. And finally, Todrick. Shanna says, Todrick to me is just someone who constantly plays the victim. He says the most horrific and horrible things about every human being in that house. And he is someone that is also riding the coattails of another powerful player in Misha. I just really don't have any respect for his game or for him personally. And that is the conclusion of that. You guys, there's so much to react to. So again, I still disagree about, not backdooring Tasha, or not Tasha. What am I... I'm told, like, my mind is on 100 different things right now. Not backdooring Todrick or Misha. I think they could have potentially had the votes to get them out. I honestly do. And, her regretting taking off Carson, I agree. Because if it was just going to be this thing where essentially Carson and Cynthia were going to go against her and believe Todrick's lies. And see, this is the issue too. When people have personal relationships outside of the house, is that they fail to think of the possibility that their, quote, friend on the outside would betray them in a game on the inside. And that's the same thing that did Davon in a second time when Danny and Nicole Franzel played her. And Day kept asking a million times to reassure her that, none of this was true and this is that. And they went with the lie. They continued with the lie until it got exposed by one of the wall yellers, and we still never got to see it or see it play out, because then it puts them in lockdown, and then they're not allowed to use that intel towards the game. But it just reminded me so much of that, where Day was just being so trusted, never thought that they would lie to her, never thought that they would play her, and the same thing is being done to Carson and Cynthia. And because of their lack of knowledge of the game, they're just going with it. They're just taking what everybody says at face value in a game that's known for lying, scheming, and conspiring. Like, that's the whole gist of it, in addition to competitions and a social game and everything else. Boy, a lot of it, you have to strategize, you have to conspire, you may have to throw some people under the bus to further your game, you may have to play a rat game, you may have to play a dirty game or a messy game. But what I feel Misha and Todrick did, though, like I said in a previous video, it just crossed the line. It just completely crossed the line, because Shayna's not even in the house anymore, and they're still trashing her and shaming her, defaming her, and slandering her for no reason. Like, they're literally obsessed with her. And it's just mind-blowing. I do like the comments that she made about Todrick. I'm glad she saw through him. I didn't even realize that Todrick was clapping and, putting on a show that Shayna got evicted, because I was more concerned about who she was going to hug and not hug. And so I saw that. I saw she quickly hugged Lamar, and I saw she quickly hugged Todd and bolted out of there, and then must have heard some of the comments and this and that, and then just got in one last shot. But other than that, I felt her eviction speech and everything else was pretty classy, so I didn't have an issue. But again, yeah, I just think those probably were the two missteps of not playing the video when she won the first one, and playing the video on the wrong person when she won the second one, or in retrospect, just not using it at all. I still think, like I said, I firmly believe in my heart of hearts, had they pulled off Cynthia, all four of them would still be in the house. It would be still Chris Kirkpatrick, Shayna, Carson, and Cynthia. And, the last HOH, not this current one that Todd has, but, even if it was another, Carson HOH, I think Chris could have really penetrated that and made sure that it was Misha and Todrick nominations, with the likelihood of Todrick being gone. And then it would just be Misha, Todd, and Lamar against Chris Kirkpatrick, Shayna, Carson, and Cynthia. And everybody would just kind of take, whatever. and go from there. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys think about Shayna's reactions to everything. She is a strong woman. If you guys do not recall, she had canceled her interviews yesterday because you gotta factor in, she's still dealing with all of the emotions and the drama of what took place in the last few days of her in the house. But the bigger issue was being blindsided by all of the drama and things that took place in her personal life and all of the nonsense that I'm presumably her ex-boyfriend was doing. And she ended up unfollowing him. And as of now, I think when I checked her following to see who she was following from the cast, it looks as though she's only following Chris Kirkpatrick, I think Teddy Mellencamp, and I want to say Chris Kattan. I didn't check if she was following Todd Bridges. I know she's not following Lamar Odom. She's not following Cynthia Bailey. She's not following Carson. She's definitely not following Misha or Todrick as of now. But it'll be interesting. And I hope it is Carson that is evicted tomorrow and that Julie shows him like how wrong him and Cynthia were and how disgusting that they were to just easily believe Todrick and Misha like that. Just awful. They owe her an apology. The whole cast owes Shayna an apology because they've been disgusting. The comments have been utterly disgusting. And this is the thing for me. This is where, like, I've always wanted to go on Big Brother, but it's like the older that I get, the less I am interested in, because I hate this toxicity and this bully mentality. And I know the type of person I am. You know, I'm going to always, you know, tell the truth and be upfront with people and this and that, but keep certain things to myself that are going to benefit my game. But what I'm not going to do is subscribe to mob mentality or groupthink and bash people. It's one thing if I don't, you know, respect somebody's game or don't like a game move that somebody did. It's another where you're just completely insulting and attacking a person's character. That I don't subscribe to. That is crossing the line and that is out of bounds. So they would probably bully me and I would be in the pink room alone crying until my eviction because I'm not a part of that type of mob mentality. Like, I'm going to be cool with everybody until they give me a reason not to be. So, I always go back and forth on that. But yeah, this has just been madness, you guys. It has really been madness this season with everything that has transpired and taking place. But I am curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Please react. Like I said, not you guys, but like what I said, I will put the links to the Parade article and the Entertainment Weekly article in the description box. You guys can check it out for yourselves and read the entire articles. They're very good. Probably one of the best post-eviction articles so far this season, I feel. And I'm awaiting for the Us Weekly interview. So I am hoping we can get some good stuff out of that one as well. And potentially if Shayna does People Magazine as well. But I think with how positive things have been for Shayna in terms of this literally uniting the entire Big Brother fandom, I think there's going to be positive things to come for Shayna moving forward and hopefully more opportunities for her. And it also came out, one thing I wanted to add really quickly before I close is Shayna actually was one of the highest paid celebrities to be on. So that was yet another reason that they were attacking her, because she was highly paid. She, I guess, had like the same pay length or pay range that Lamar Odom and Todd Bridges did. And even, I think, to an extent, Carson. But everybody else was paid lower than that. And Todrick was paid the lowest out of everybody, because he basically begged to be on there. And he was basically, you know, a last minute call once all of the, you know, top people that Big Brother actually wanted, that CBS actually wanted, turned it down. So yeah, that's just another little tidbit of, again, yet another reason that they were, you know, unnecessarily coming for Shayna. But I think, you know, with everything, I think she's going to be good when it's all said and done. And I wish nothing for the best for her. So here we are. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell where you're so you can be notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys again very soon.